My name is Mark Fejao Milligan II. Um, I am an artist that was born and raised on the island of St. Croix, Virgin Islands, in WIM. I now live in Hawaii, and I essentially create artwork that celebrates a lot of the culture that I was born into. So I consider myself to be an Afrofuturist, which is an artist that envisions the Black presence um, in the future with eyes on the perspective of the horizon, kind of seeing where we're gonna go. And I do that with the lens of the culture that I grew up with back home. I got started essentially from youth. I don't remember my life without artwork. I don't remember my life without creating pieces. Even from young, some of my earliest memories were actually creating artwork. So it started at home. It started with my family, with my parents, just as something that I could do to pass time. I loved being able to just pick up a pencil, pick up a piece of paper, and start sketching, randomly. And it was always available in the household. So how did I get started? It was really back home, and it was encouraged always back home in the home as a way to create and also take up time. So it was something that I did and continue to do. I never broke the habit. What makes me wake up to do art? Um, for me, I see every time I wake up, I honestly, and this is sincere, like I honestly see it as being a gift. We have another opportunity to live in this life, to live in this body, to live in this world at this time. I feel like it's a gift, and I don't take it for granted. So if I'm gonna have this opportunity to be present in this world, I want to make things better. That's just how I grew up. You come into a room. When you leave the room, you make it's a little bit better. You don't come in and make things worse. You don't come in and you come in and you pull your weight and you make it a little bit better. So for me, this realm of art is my opportunity to make this world better. So that's what has me at the canvas in the evenings. That's what keeps me motivated is an opportunity and a voice that I have that I can use to improve the world. It's very humbling. It feels good to have the work appreciated. I love that. I love when the artwork is able to connect to a viewer and move the viewer like emotionally. Sometimes the artwork will actually provide a reflection that they're like, oh, okay, yeah, like, I have a voice, almost to become even like a voice for others. For some, it might actually make them feel uncomfortable. That's what I was trying to say before. In that it may make them feel a little like, oh, okay, I don't know exactly what I'm seeing. This is kind of putting me in an odd place, but it's a visual, it's a piece of artwork, so there's a certain amount of distance. And sometimes that's necessary, to kind of put them in a space where they can kind of think and reflect and, question different things. So it feels great to be celebrated, partially because it also means that the artwork is being seen, so I love that. And honestly, if any celebration that comes to me I see as being a celebration not only of myself but also the people that I have put me in this place, so it's a celebration of them too, which I always support. there were two pieces, Yeshua / Horus and Madonna / Isis. And even within those titles, you can see where I'm going with the pieces. They're references not only to the biblical, but also to Kemetic Egyptian deities, gods. So there's a play with that whole process. And then within Kemetic and Egyptian, of course, there's a reference to African. Within those pieces, I felt like it was important to create representations of divine enlightenment that had also a feeling of the African diaspora within it. So that when we have not only ourselves, I remember being in church and oftentimes looking at the different figures, whether it be Christ or Madonna, or, and just seeing representations that did not reflect who I was. It was always someone of Caucasian descent. And not that I feel like that's wrong. I feel like everyone should have a representation of divinity that reflects who they are, so that they can actually see themselves in that light. But I oftentimes wondered, where was mine? I'm on, St. Croix, and the population, and then to be able to. So I created those pieces, Yeshua / Horus and Madonna / Isis, as a response to that. And also too, I have two young sons actually in the paintings behind me, and realizing how impressionable they are as they come up. It was important for me to create these pieces, not only for myself, but also for them, so that they can see representations of themselves in a divine manner. So those two are very important to me for that reason. I would say that one of my biggest lows was actually fairly recent. It was during the summer of 2020. We had the deaths of multiple people within the African diaspora, really closely, I guess, portrayed within the media. Those stories were told, and it was like one after the other. And it like everyone else, it had a real strong effect on me, mentally, emotionally. At that time, I was having a lot of difficulty being able to work through all these emotions, and again having children of the African diaspora, and then seeing how we were being treated, how our bodies were being treated, even on camera. I mean, disturbing, our lives, being treated, and our deaths. So in order to process all of that, I oftentimes would go back to my artwork as a way to, it's my most comfortable way of communicating. And there's also a therapy within the process for myself to be able to work through different emotions. So like I had done in the past, I went to the art during that summer. And this was actually even after being in conversation with two of my nephews, and we were talking about different ways that we can affect change, and for some, the change comes in going to the streets and rioting, and letting folks know that you are upset. For some, it's going to the Capitol and affecting, the legislation and all of that. For me, it was within the art. That this is how I change things within the world. I would tell my teenage self to lean in. Don't question. Just Don't question any of the, just lean in. I think sometimes, in my instance, I would approach life, especially early on, kind of like, is this the right thing to do, or is this, kind of questioning, even like that gut, that voice that is just telling you like, yeah, just go for it. So there's a little hesitation, especially earlier on. I've kind of changed some of this, but if I could change one thing or give that younger person a little message, it would be that lean in. And also, your voice is much more powerful than you realize. And voice not being your voice. There's even this one voice, and that's one thing that I have really been kind of feeling a lot more, is that, and actually would want to then tell others, honestly, this is my message oftentimes to others, is that our voices are powerful. So don't question the power and the ability for us to change, even as one person. Sometimes it feels like, okay, what can I do? We can do a lot more than we believe. So believe and hold that,